next subject. You want to lay a foundation for it?
When I went to law school, I had never drank coffee in my 33 years on the planet. Not one cup. Didn't like it. Smelled bad. Well, actually, it smelled good, but it tasted awful. Just couldn't do it. Something about law school. And by then, the whole flow of lattes and all that had come around. And this man right here said, well, let's go get a caramel latte. I'm like, okay. And there was a cool coffee shop right across the street from the law school.
I don't think they're in business anymore.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
It used to be called Peaberry's. It was a Colorado brand. Anyway, caramel lattes. Holy moly. Just sucked me in. It wasn't too long before I'm no longer taking just the normal caramel latte. I'm taking a small with 3 or 4 shots in it and lower the sugar down by half so I can really get the full flavor of the coffee. So yeah, this would be my coffee dealer right here. And fortunately, he was a barista in another life, one of his many other lives. And buddy, he can make an outstanding coffee. It is rich, dynamic. The foam is unreal. He understands that sometimes you don't want so much sugar, sometimes you want a little bit more, and so he's real good about measuring and all that. So,
well, look at being a barista for me. I think it was like my first. Well, let's put it this way: I had real jobs that like paid, and then I had jobs that were just kind of side things. I did a lot of dishwashing when I was younger. Went into a floral shop and, take care of cut flowers. And then the next, I think, important step for me was learning how to make espresso drinks, because it was great because I could go into a town that I'd never been in before. And I moved around a lot when I was younger, make them a drink or two, and they would give me a job. So for somebody that, was kind of transient, it was a great way to be able to get quick job. And, the cool part about, coffee in general is, for me, it's a very social beverage.
He gets to talk to people over and over.
It's not just that. It's this, think about it. And mind you, I grew up in kind of the coffee shop culture. You would go hang out. It was like, if some people maybe treat the bar as their local watering hole, for me, I treated the coffee shop as kind of the place where you met your friends, the place where you got ready before you head out on a Friday night, where you would have your philosophical conversations with people, talk about music, your interests, meet somebody new. And, I grew up poor, so the idea of going to a restaurant was just not reasonable to think about. Whereas going and spending $10 on a cup of coffees and a little pastry, that was clearly more accessible to me and my situation. Yeah, Taco Bell. But regardless, it's something that I think has kind of a cultural element to it. So it was important for me to be good at it, like most anything that I'm interested in. But what I focused on with the video that we're about to show is just some of the basics. But my point, and I think kind of the message is that learn the basics. And no matter what you're doing, you can have a great drink that not only you'll enjoy, other people will enjoy. To me, it's more cost effective too, because if you can make these drinks at home, it's very easy for you to enjoy that for breakfast, enjoy it as an evening, way to relax. And, there are different ways to prepare it once you understand, again, the basics. So when you learn the basics, how you then kind of accent the experience to suit what your taste buds are, what those of your family members and friends are, you can start to play with it. So this video is really centered on making sure that the basics are covered. And there are things that if you have questions or anything that isn't covered, I tried to be pretty particular in this video. If there isn't anything covered, send us a message and I can offer some additional feedback if maybe things aren't working exactly the way that you'd like.
This is a masterclass on how to foam.
A masterclass.
This is a masterclass on how to foam milk. So stand by.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let me get this up. The bean that I'm going to be using for espresso tonight is this Malaberties. I guess it's kind of a unique bean because it's actually grown in Australia. Let's see what the smell is like. And I know for everybody who is into beans, this is a borderline euphoric moment. But, oof, goodness, just kind of give a sense. You can see the beans are lovely, aromatic, just amazing. You know, a handful of coffee beans, espresso particularly. And all this is a basic little Braun.
Oh, Mr. Coffee.
Oh, no, Mr. Coffee. I forgot. This was a Mr. Coffee. I think they licensed the same thing with Braun as well. But when you're grinding, all you're looking to do is create not a ultra fine grind. What you're looking for is, you know, not too coarse, but kind of between coarse and fine, which really is just about kind of listening and ensuring that you take a peek if need be. So there's two very important features to making a good espresso coffee. And it doesn't matter whether you're at a coffee shop or at home the way we are tonight. Water quality and bean quality. Those two things can take any equipment you have and give you a good foundation to work from. Got a tamper here. Tamp it a little. Just want to get it down below the surface slightly. It doesn't have to be, you know, muscled down, but just something to give you a good concave foundation when you put it into your machine. So clearly getting a milk that works for you. Our family likes whole milk, but to get the best froth possible, you're going to want to ensure that you have the skill. Now, if you're not great on your skills, but you want an easy milk to froth, skim milk is actually the easiest to froth, but I still think that as far as richness and flavor, a whole milk's better. So we're going to be making a latte today. And I am very particular about ensuring that the milk that I use is cold. You don't want to be doing this with warm milk in any way. Now you can see that the carafe here that I'm using, it is filled up maybe just about a third of the way. And that's important because we're going to actually froth up the entire rest to the brim. I'll show you a technique once you actually have it full of froth to make the froth even denser. Now the thing that you'll see is once you have a little froth, I'm going to focus on keeping the wand just high enough that it keeps the milk churning. If I go too deep, it doesn't froth. If I go too shallow, it sputters. So it's about keeping just the right height. But you can already see that the bubbles are getting infused, the air is getting infused into the milk. And this is the process. Takes a little bit to learn how to keep it just at the right level where you keep a consistent blend of milk and air occurring. But it's not complicated. It just takes a little patience and practice. Now once I've gotten to where I have froth coming almost to the brim, what I'm next going to do is focus on heating the milk the rest of the way. And that means now taking this milk and heating it. So now that you can see it's frothing, see how it's already creamy, and what I'm trying to do now is just bring the temperature up to 140. And if you like it hotter, a little cooler, it's your choice. I think 140 is kind of a bare minimum. But at a minimum, you can see that froth is just amazing. Okay, I've hit 140. Okay. So now that I've got my froth, I'm going to go ahead and bring it out. And you can see I've got all this lovely froth. Now this is kind of my own technique, but I want to ensure we have really dense froth. So I like to tap to try to bring out more air bubbles and let that froth set. And so that can sit for a moment. It is important because of how milk is, you want to run some hot water through. And what that'll allow you to do is get any milk in the wand out. And that water is hot, but it ensures that you're able to sanitize. The heat kills any germs, but you want to wipe it down right away. If you don't, that milk really gets crusty and it gets real difficult to get out. So it's just kind of good form and good practice to keep that clean. This is kind of a cheater's frother. I don't use them. Has a little air hole. Kind of works. I prefer just doing what I showed you, where you're patient and conscientious in how you actually do the frothing, which requires a little more skill. So this is some Torani. It's actually a great syrup. They do these really fun flavors. This is their smoked black cherry. Tamara loves it. I'm making
Absolute favorite. Hands down.
I'm making this drink for Tamara. So you can add flavors, all you'd like. We have a little measurer here. And, kind of like for shot glasses, but you don't need too much to get a really amazing flavor. Don't want to go overboard on your syrups. As you can imagine, it can become too sweet and it overwhelms the flavor of the coffee itself.
Totally not eat like a bear friendly, but completely worth the carb count.
Now we had our espresso earlier. Going to go ahead and install it, and just briefly before I run this, you're looking at a basic little Breville.
How long have we had that?
We've had this thing a decade.
Oh, we had it more than a decade. We got that when we first got into Buchanan County.
Well, it's about a 10-year-old unit, maybe a little bit longer. We've been fans of coffee and espresso drinks for years and years. So, really basic unit, super simple. It's got a little reservoir on the back. We just again focus on only using high quality water. Never ever any tap water. I've never even used well water. I usually want good quality and your better quality bottled water. So here, this one, I'm going to run hot water, and we're going to now watch and focus on the actual crema that's created when you're running your espresso pour. Now what you'll see is that little crema on the top. It shows you got a good pull. You want to avoid as much of the white as possible, have more of that creamier color. This bean, obviously, we're going to be experimenting with it for the first time here. But you can see we've got a good pull from it. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. I want to ensure I get as much of that crema as possible. And my little technique here for ensuring that I make a good drink is to trap my foam. And in so doing, gives me the milk underneath. I can now mix everything. The espresso, that wonderful syrup, the milk, and so I've got a good mix on my drink. And now I have the opportunity to add this wonderful, look at how fluffy. It's amazing. I love that. Delicious froth, and this is with whole milk. This is with whole milk. This just required some patience, but you don't get this kind of froth when you go to Starbucks. It's half the experience having this, and as you can see, you can make all kinds of great drinks where you can stain the.
What does that mean? That's
where you take the froth and then take your espresso and stain the froth with the espresso from above. But this is an amazing drink now, and Tamara will taste it for you. I'll get her on video tasting it, but we've done this a few minutes here at the house. It's going to be a quality and a flavor that if you haven't tried a drink like this, and you've only tried things from kind of subpar coffee shops or Starbucks, you literally don't know what you're missing. Versus something like this that you can make at home, and you become borderline spoiled and potentially even a coffee addict. So it's worth it though. It is worth it. It's worth the skill, taking the time, but it doesn't take too much. You can do it with a very basic unit, but water quality, good bean, and here a little patience, and you get a wonderful drink.
There you go. First of all, that is how thick that foam is. Absolutely wonderful. The reason I am addicted to what Flux creates is because the espresso, when he makes it, tastes like dark chocolate. It's so deep and so fragrant. That can be a word for taste. Something like it. So, cheers.
So something that's really important is cleanup. There's actually a practical reason aside from just good form. But by cleaning up afterwards, you ensure that there aren't residual beans that are caught up in the espresso. And really what the issue is that if you leave beans caught up in the mechanism here where the water comes out, then you're going to actually have acids build up, old beans caught in there, and all of that can impact the actual flavor of the drink itself. So just very basic, very easy to do, but you go ahead and run some water afterwards, and you can see just how much is in there. By running that fresh water, you sanitize, but also you ensure you get any residual beans out so that the next time you come and make a drink, it's going to be that much fresher because you don't have any residue from, potentially a day, 2 day, 3 day old remnants of beans.
Cheers.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually interested. The funny part is, I didn't get to see this video before this evening. So for me, I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no, I agree. So now this is interesting. We pulled that bean out of Australia.
Yeah. Okay. So when we went to our vacation, we went to Tucson. We also went to Los Angeles, and we found a coffee shop in Westwood. And I had I love my husband's coffee. I had the best latte I've ever had in my life. And it was different than everything. It was very strong, a very strong coffee flavor, but no bitterness, absolutely none. And I asked about it, and they were an Australian coffee
Not
company.
A place typically known for coffee beans, espresso roasts.
Certainly not for coffee beans, because I think the folks that we found are one of the very first in the country growing. But they are renowned, apparently, world renowned for outstanding coffee. I have a cousin who lived there for a short period of time, and she said, yeah, they're obsessive about their coffees and their things. There's got to be certain cows who grazed on certain kinds of grass that produce certain types of milk and this and that, and it's just extraordinary. Now, that being said, this is a nice bean, and there's no doubt about it. It is not my bean, though. I've got to say, this particular one is not the same bean as what I had when I went to Los Angeles. So I'm now still on the hunt for exactly what I had. This bean was softer. It didn't have that, that deep, rich flavor.
Now, I can say if somebody's not usually like Tamara, who they've
not a
been
coffee addict
drinking
yet.
it now for
This is a good entry
decades.
bean.
Yeah, it is actually a good bean because if the flavors are a little milder and more accessible, it's not overly bitter.
Look at you pulling more people into the coffee land, coffee world. I told you he's a coffee dealer. He's like,
I figure people want an honest assessment here. But seriously, if you're new to it, it's a great bean for that.
It is.
So, I think the point is when you focus on the basics, what you do from there is really up to you. Because the nice part is that there's enough people growing beans now. The
Roasting
equipment.
beans. We have a local bean roaster here in Tazewell County.
There's one in Floyd County.
There's
also.
one in Abington.
So there's some in the region.
They're popping up all over the place.
And this is all over the country. So this is not just particular to our neck of the woods. But the point is that it becomes fun when you know what goes into making these drinks. And then you go somewhere and you go to a coffee shop and you try and see what they're doing. You pick up little things, little techniques, little insights into how it is that they're making their drinks. And now you can bring that home. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're now stuck to say, well, that was a great drink. I'm never coming here again. So that was a one-off. No, you ask them, what beans are you using? Where'd you get this? Who's the roaster that you're using? And you'll be surprised because a lot of these people are online. So you can contact the roasters directly, ask them to ship you some of their beans. You can ask for variations on their beans. Clearly, we're working with a lot of espresso. What I am going to do with the bean from Australia that we do have is I'm going to put it through a French press and see what kind of coffee experience it affords since it's not a more robust flavor like you would typically expect from a lot of espresso roasts. So it's fun though. It's fun to play with.
So much fun.
And again, I was watching the video and I was just like, yeah, that's about it. There wasn't anything where I was like, I should have brought this up. So I would say, if you like it, circle back. The one thing, and I don't know if you've noticed yet, anyone who's at least joined us thus far with this new endeavor doing the live streams, we then chop up each of the respective segments into their own standalone videos. So that gives you the opportunity to say, well, look, I didn't really care about what they were talking about on that segment or that segment, but that one captures my interest. So you can come back and watch these videos over again and kind of hone your own skills from there, knowing that, what I'm telling you is something that we've been doing for years and years. And I'm not holding myself out as, the standard bearer for what you should and shouldn't do.
Just a pusher of coffee.
No, seriously, it's a great experience. It is. It's a great experience, and it's enjoyable, and it's fun to share. That's the best part. It really is fun to share.
Truly.
So.